Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to today's webcast. This is introducing the redesigned NACM National Trade Credit Report. Now that we've started, your audio connections have been muted, so we will be stopping at several points during the presentation to take questions. So if you want to ask your question out loud, you'll just need to unmute yourself. But feel free at any point to type your questions in the chat window or the question screen. We'll also do some Q&A at the end of the session. Our presenter today is Craig Smith. He's been the Credit Solutions Manager for NACM Connect since 2013. He brings over 20 years of credit report sales experience, both from Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. He also worked as an account exec at Wolters Kluwer Financial Services Division in a B2B outside sales role, providing solutions to clients by working in collaboration with financial institutions to meet compliance and regulatory requirements while improving their efficiencies. And Craig, I'll turn this over to you.
Well, thank you, Sue, and good morning, everyone. Today, I want to welcome you to our webinar where we'll be talking about an important credit tool used by thousands of NACM members to evaluate credit. Now, the credit report, it's been around for over 100 years, and the purpose is to give businesses information so that they can make better credit decisions. And today we're going to talk about the NACM National Trade Credit Report, and in the slides we also refer to that as the NTCR, so you'll see that coming up. Like Sue mentioned, we will have several stops, and we really appreciate any questions that you have. We want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the program and how it works. Now let's take a look at what we have in store for you today. And here's our agenda. This information, by the way, the slide presentation should have been sent out to everybody. I hope you've all received that. If you haven't, please let me know. And today we're going to talk about what kind of information is included in the National Trade Report. And then also how to access the report, why the NACM credit score is so different from other scores that are out there in the credit world, and some of the third-party public data information. We do. We're going to go through a demo report, so you can take a look at that and ask questions on that. And we're going to talk about some of the new developed process that we have in beta testing right now. That'll be coming out soon for our members. Also, there's a few other programs that are associated with the report, and wanted to go through that portfolio management suite that is listed here. And then next, we're going to talk about some of the preferred partners that make data integration easier and using the report. And then the benefits of providing trade data to NACM. Okay, here let's talk a little bit about what is included in the report. And first of all, I'd like to mention that there are over 40 different locations of NACM across the country that are contributing data to this report. And that's pretty significant because that has changed greatly over the last few years. What that has done is now there's like over 60% more information in the report and trade data just in the last few years. And so you'll see that that'll be a significant change from the past if you saw the report several years ago. And also keep in mind that the groups are contributing data also to this report, the different credit groups, and that's really important because that information, it's coming from, well, all this information is coming from your fellow NACM members, and you know, the group experiences. You know, it's not necessarily, you know, just getting utility bills that are showing up on the report. These are other members out there that are, they could be competitors of yours or other companies in your industry that are receiving these, are providing these experiences and have them available for you to view on this report. We also have alert information that we'll show in our example that could be important information that different members have indicated. Collection claims data, corporate record and then we'll go into more detail into the predictive score in just a couple of minutes. Also included is there's comparisons that are showing what happened the previous year versus this year, and also for the days beyond terms. You can see an interactive chart that also shows that how things are progressing. Are they paying their bills better or worse? And having that comparison and benchmarking from the previous years also, between the two and the trend are very important. We have public records data and then also third-party public records data that we're going to go into more detail later on also. Okay, next, even though I haven't even shown you the report yet, I thought I'd show you how to access the report. The reason being is all members, when you renew your membership, you're given 5 free NACM National Trade Credit Reports. And so we really hope you'll take advantage of that. We had recently a member in the tile floor covering business, and basically what happened is they tried out their free 5 reports. They found a tremendous amount of information, the information that they needed to make a credit decision. And then also, well, they found out that they could really save some money by using that particular report versus what they were currently doing. But to access the report, what you would do is you would just go into our nacmconnect.org website, and there on the right-hand side of the page near the top, there's a regional drop-down box, and you'd click on which region you're in, and then you'd put in your access code, your member access code. If you do not have that or do not know what it is, please let me know or send me an email, and we'll make sure that you have that information. And you want to type in the capital letters, and then there's a comma, and then there's a number. So include all that in that box, and then put in your initials, click on login, and you'll come to a screen that has the purple button for the National Trade Credit Report. You would click on that button, and here's this top portion of the screen will show up here. What we're seeing up here, and gives you different options for ordering the report. Here you can put in the business name, the phone number, or the address. International, you're probably not going to find a lot of information on international companies. So something to keep in mind. Now here, what we mentioned here is basically it's saying less is more. Whatever you type in this box for the name of the company, it has to match exactly in our database. And if you put in like ABC Company, comma, Incorporated, period, it has to be listed exactly that way with the period, with the comma, and so on. But what I do is I'll put in just the, if it's like 4 words to the name, I'll put in the first 2 words and then put in the state. And then I'll do a search, and what we'll do is we'll be able to come back and we'll have a drop-down box that'll show the companies that match that criteria. Having a wider view could be important, because you could have a company that has a post office box in one city or one town, and they're actually physically located in another town. So you want to be able to see those choices. And what you can do is once you receive the list, you can look at the address and city and state to make sure that you're looking at the right company. One great thing to take a look at is here, this column that says TL, that means trade lines. So it shows you how many trade lines we have in the report even before you order it. So right now you haven't spent anything. It's not until after you click on the report, the listing here, and then it'll ask you again, it'll indicate, do you want this report, and then it'll pull it up. And at that point, that's when you would be charged. So let me ask you, is there any questions at this point? I take that as a no. Okay, we'll continue on. Okay, what I'd like to do is show you a new facet of the report that was just added in the last within the last year, and that is the industry type listing. And this pie chart, what it does is it shows, like for the apparel industry, there are 6 lines of credit for over, let's see, it's $853,000, and how they're paying that industry on an average is 7 days beyond terms. This is days beyond terms, DBT. So you can take a look at particular industries and how well they're paying their bills for each industry. Obviously, they don't think too much about paying their footwear industry here. But anyway, that's a great chart to really zero in on the type of business. Couple other things I'd like to mention. I know this might be hard to read on the screen, but it says in file. This is when the company was added to the NACM database, this date, and then this here would be the actual date of when you pull the report. But we'll go into more detail on that as we go along, and when we get to the demo report. Okay, one other thing, predictive score. We break it up into 2 different scores. We have the predictive score with a range that goes from 450 to 850, and then a risk class that goes from 1 to 5. And depending on what you feel more comfortable using, what would happen is when you pull up a report, there would be this screen right here, this dial, and there would be an actual hand pointing to where this particular company would fall on the score of 450 to 850. And this particular example, we have a low to moderate risk with a 3, and then some reasons for that score would be listed here. And then down below, like we mentioned, we have the percent past due, and it's a comparison from comparing this year with last year. And you can see the current information is in green and the prior is in blue. So you can see the trends that have developed and the seasonality possibly that are in this business. And then here we have the DBT, which is days beyond terms. And on a live version, when you put your cursor on either one of these charts, it'll show the specific like number of days here that they have for, and it's great to see a trend on, are they getting better at paying their bills or getting worse? One of the key points to keep in mind when you're taking a look at how this score is calculated, I mentioned it's very different from other scores. When you look at like there's a D&B credit score or a IntelliScore Plus from Experian, those scores, what they do is they take into consideration not only the payment habits, but also other information such as maybe financials or public records or how long they've been in business, or what industry they're in. All these different key points are added together to form their score. What we do is we only look at payments on evaluating the score, the payments and the payment trends. And that's really important, because what our members have told us, they want to know, is this company going to pay their bills or not? And are they paying their bills? So what it is a predictor that takes a look at the last 12 months of their payment habits and evaluates that and predicts whether they're going to be paying their bills during the next 6 months. And here's the key definition. The model predicts the probability that more than 25% of the firm's total balance will be 90 days plus past due over the next 6 months. So that's the key point to remember when looking at this score. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay. Here we go a little bit further into the score, the range. For the classes, it shows 1 is very low risk, where the 5 is extreme risk. And here it shows where the range would fall for each of these different classes. And one thing to also keep in mind, there's an NA score. let me show you what that basically means. There's a 996. That means the payments, they're already in a situation that they're beyond predicting on whether they're going to be in 25% of the balances are going to be 90 days plus, because they're already there. So in other words, they're beyond the extreme risk because they already have 25% of their balances beyond 90 days. And then here we have, if they file for bankruptcy in the last 2 years, is the 997 and 999. That means that basically we do not feel comfortable in scoring them because we do not have enough trade experiences to score them, where it's less than 3 trade experiences. Okay, another part of the report is the third-party public record data. This is something that has been added to the report because of requests from our members. This third party, what it'll do is it'll provide information like bankruptcies, judgments, liens, UCCs, corporate data, and officer information. It's a very good source. We've seen numerous examples of where this source has provided information before D&B and Experian and Equifax in the report. So it's good to, it's a great source. One thing I want to mention though, the cost for this, it's an additional cost, and it's $10 per report for this information. And then here's, I know this is really small print, but here's an example of what it looks like, the corporate information. So if you want to get out your magnifying glasses, you'll be able to see this more clearly. Okay, now what we'd like to do is go into the report so you can take a look at that. Uh-oh. My report disappeared. Let me pull that back up. Okay, hopefully everybody can see this report. And here, let me go through just a couple of pieces of information here. I mentioned the in-file date. We just talked about the public records information. This button here has, in green, it shows purchase additional data. That's where you would get that third-party public records information. When you hover over this on a live version, it will show what it means in more detail. And here's new search button, and when you want to order another report, to print or copy the PDF version of this report, here's a little it's a real small little icon in the top left-hand corner, and that right there, that's where you can just click on that, and then you can print the report. Add trade lines. If you want to add a trade line to this report information, it gives you an opportunity to do that. And also, if you want to revise a trade line that you are already reported, you can do that on this button here where it shows add to revision. And what happens is then, for free, we would send out the revised report to anyone that has recently ordered the report. Poll my group. If you are in a credit group, you have the capability to check with your other credit partners that are in the group and be able to get the information from them also. And let's see. So here would be the information on the name of the company, their address, and as we talked about, the summary of the top industries. If they have other names that they go by, would be listed here, and also related subjects, so other companies that we've identified as being a part of the organization. The predictive score. Here's the example of the the one we showed before, low to moderate risk, again, you'd have the dial that would be pointing exactly on where on this dial it would show up. And here's, again, the comparison that we talked about. And by hovering over, you can see the different actual numbers. Going into here's trending summary. Basically what we're doing is we're showing the last several months on a month-by-month basis. So you can see how many trade lines are included in each of these months, their days beyond terms on an average, balances, and current, and how much is 1 to 30 days slow, 31 to 60 days, and so on. And then we do that also by quarter for those that like to take a look at 3 months at a time period. And that continues on with the last, so you have all last 4 quarters listed here. Now we're getting into the meat of the report, the trade lines. This is the part that most members really feel are extremely important. What we'll do is we'll indicate where or what NACM affiliate is reporting this data. So you can see from Tampa, Atlanta, so on, Chicago. The industry code is listed here, what industry they're in, basically. The date when it was reported, and then last reported to us, and then if it's open, that's all listed here. The high credit, the balance, and what is current, and how much is beyond terms as we go along here. So here, for example, in Chicago, here's a payment experience that's for over $300,000, and they're current and they're not beyond terms. And here's one that's 7 days beyond terms. Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding this information?
There is one question that came in. It says, okay, on a previous slide, what does the negative percent stand for? Credit?
Let's see, on a previous slide, would that be, trying to think of which slide that is.
In the 31 to 60 column, there were negative percentages.
Okay. I take it that was probably on here somewhere.
Right there. Go up. Right there.
A negative here?
Yep.
Okay. What can happen is usually like negatives when they show up. Let me show you an example down here. Here's like some negative numbers. These are typically credits. They're either where there's overpayment or deductions that occur. And also note, whenever there is a negative number here, it will have the DBT is always 0. And I hope that answers your question. So it's probably some kind of credit that's owed. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Then continuing on with the trade lines. You're not always going to see, this many trade lines on all the reports. But I mean, if you can, 3 trade lines may be all you need to make a decision. Here's what it looks like if collection claims are reported, and you can see which office reported them, the NACM office, and open the status, and then how many dollars were involved. And then alerts, non-sufficient funds, dispute. Those are great things to see. Helps explain to some things that are going on there. Financial, it would have the name of a bank here and the information. And then here we have the public records. Now in this section, you're not always going to see this. When you get the third-party public records data, it'll be much more robust. But it does, from time to time, this information is gathered and included, or bankruptcy information. Going further into the reports, the UCC filings, listed that is gathered here. I would caution you that there's a good chance that all the UCCs might not be included in this report. So if that is something that's really important to you, I would recommend the third-party data source for that information. And then corporate information. You can see here that they're registered and active status, and here's different types of information. Here's executive information, owner, and inquiries. There's a member that ordered this in the past. Request our information. That's just your information, and that doesn't get seen by anybody else but you. But it just has it's a record for you on when you requested the information and so forth. Okay. So anyway, that's what the report looks like. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. I'd like to mention there's one of the challenges we have is when members report the data. Sometimes one member might report it as IBM, another member will report it as International Business Machines. You know, and what can happen is there could be duplications sometimes that are in the database. We try and clean those up, and we go to a lot of extent to do that. However, there are those types of situations still out there. We've come up with a new program that allows you to then, when you're in the system, you can identify that which ones are which you feel are the same, and what we will do is we will then investigate that and merge the reports together. Here, though, there's a distinction between a duplicate. That's where we would merge the reports. But a related business, you could have at the same, I've seen at the same address, you have a headquarter location and a subsidiary location, both different names, credit-wise, different businesses. So, you know, that would be a related business, and so we would not merge those reports. But if it's a duplicate, then we would. And here's the new program that you're going to see that we have available. Basically, you would go in and do your search up here, and then here's the listing of similar companies. You can take a look at this and you can say, you know what, these two businesses are the same, or and then be able to just take those boxes and drag them up into the related window up here. And what that does is here it'll list both of these, and you just apply, and what it does is it gets sent to the local NACM office, and they will review it and determine if it's, you know, if it is a duplication, and merge the records for you. Okay, you're probably wondering by now, well, how do I get my hands on these reports, these great reports? Basically, we have a number of different options. And here's the pay-as-you-go. Right now, you have access to 5 reports just through your membership that's available to you. If you just continue ordering the reports in the same manner, you can continue to do that. You're charged just a little bit more on the pay-as-you-go basis, versus if you have a deposit account with us, And this was probably not on your screen, but the screens that we sent out, I added this. I forgot to include that, but it's on here, and it is an option for you. And then also you can buy in blocks of reports. If you wanted 25 or 50 or 75 reports, those are available too. Another option is we have an unlimited report program. That's your best price per report, and it's basically what happens is we price it out based on estimated need, and if you go over, we're not going to charge you anything extra. The following year, then we'll reevaluate the program and see what your needs are, and then price it out accordingly. But the only thing is, on the unlimited program, to qualify for that, you would need to be a data provider of monthly electronic trade information. Any questions? Okay. Here are some of the other programs that are associated with the NACM National Trade Credit Report. A lot of members aren't aware of this, but these programs are available. Here's a non-member credit reference service. Basically, what you're doing is you're outsourcing the credit information to NACM. How many times have you been requested each day to provide trade data to different companies that are inquiring trade? Well, this program, what it does is it's a real flexible, nice program that allows you to outsource all that by if you're providing trade to NACM Connect. What happens is the member would then have access to that trade information, but you do have a lot of ability to control that too. You can block certain people from getting information. You can limit how many trade experiences you're willing to give out. It's really a nice way to have a consistent method and save a lot of time. Where some members, what they'll do is they'll have on their website, click here, and what it does is it links it to the NACM site, where then they can request the trade data. So that's a great tool to have. Okay, and then also the account monitoring service, which we'll go into a little bit more detail on each of these. But the account monitoring program is a fantastic system. Also, it's free, and what it does is you can put in certain criteria in the system on the reports that you order, and then what happens is if there are changes, like for example, let's say if you wanted to know at any time a $10,000 balance or more goes to 60 days, you'd receive notification that a change has occurred. Or public record information something has changed. You can take a look at that. And then also the portfolio risk analysis. That's where you're going to segment your customer base based on the risk and be able to identify where the more risk in your portfolio is. And we'll go into that a little bit more in detail. Here, talking about the non-member credit reference program. Here, it's basically outsourcing that function that maybe you would like to have someone spend their time more effectively looking at credit versus fielding these incoming reference checks requests. And this is a great way to do that. It's only costs 30 cents per time someone would go in, so it's really inexpensive. And it does have some security in there so that they can, so that you can control it and see who is going in and accessing the information. Okay, here they would go in. There's a tab on the front page of our website that has the non-member credit reference program, and click on that. It'll get you to this screen where you can register, And you can see that, so they need to put in their information so that you can then have an idea of who's checking credit. And then here's the information that would come back. Here it would show the most recent information and then also some historical information that you reported. Okay, account monitoring service. You know, it's free. You can have it sent out to as many people that you would like to have set up to receive the notices. It can be a real great tool at just keeping you informed of different changes that are occurring. There we go. Here's basically the email that you would receive. These are the different companies that have changed. And the reason, here's a trade line. Maybe like that example I mentioned of $10,000 or more in 60 days beyond terms. That could be an example of that. Or maybe if there's a judgment against them, you know, for legal and so on. And to access that is just by, once you sign up with a program, you would have a box here that says account monitoring, where you could go in then and check the check for this information. Okay, the portfolio risk analysis. Does anybody have any questions so far?
There was an asterisk on that page, but no reference to why on the security. Is that coming up, or is that tied to those who provide data?
Let's see. This page. Let's see. Any particular page does it mention?
It does not.
Security code capability. You're right. We don't have anything on there. Well, basically, if you want to find out more about the security code, this is something that was just recently added for our members' benefit. And what it'll do is it helps the member kind of, well, make sure that people, when they go in, they can only look at their data in the database, and also it limits their capability of being able to get, let's say if they're blocked, they would not be able to then be able to access the information. If it's a situation where you're only allowing up to 10 experiences per day, and someone comes in that they're the 12th person asking, they would not be able to then get that information. So I hope that helps. Okay, let me show you the portfolio risk analysis. And here's a demo version of that. This is also available. The only thing that the information that drives this is from the your trade information that you would be supplying to NACM. So without that, this report could not generate these kind of numbers. But basically, what it does, first of all, is it looks at, you know, your particular company. And by the way, you would only be your company would only be the only one to see this information on your own company. And then it has the different risk classes here listed, the low risk through high risk to extreme and so forth, and those different categories, special categories that I mentioned. And here on the right-hand side of the page, it shows how many dollars of exposure you have in each of these different risk categories. So it helps you to understand you know, where your risk is, how much of a risk you have in each one of these different risk categories, and here's the percentages then of your total. Here in this example, there's $65 million worth of receivables, and there's 2,391 different accounts, and then the percentage of those accounts that fall into each one of these risk categories. So this is this would be for your company. And then what we do here in this graph, we'll show where the risk is. On this side of the page, it shows the dollar amount, and on the right-hand side of the page, it shows the number of accounts that fall into each of these different categories, risk categories. And so, if you look, this is like, for example, this is for this demo company, it's 30.6% of the dollars that fall into category 1, which is the very low risk, and that percentage corresponds to this table here. So this is just a restating of the same information that's in the table at the top. But one of the really neat things about this is then it's going to take it a step further, and you can do a comparison with your industries or your industry groups that you're in. So here they're in the National Home Centers group, and here are the numbers for the group. And notice for this 4A, high risk, there's 41% versus you're at 37%, and so forth. And you can see how you compare with your group. And this particular example, they're in more than one group. Here's the National Metal Builders and Components group, and how that group is, their numbers fall. And this group, here we can just eliminate that one. And then here it shows the, down below, it's going to show the entire NACM database and where those numbers fall. So you can do comparison between the entire database and the groups that you're in. So it's a really neat tool to be able to do that. Now we can drill down a little bit further, and we want to take a look at, for example, here, a very high risk category. And here, what we'll do is we'll show you where these accounts fall balance-wise, and then also we'll show you where they fall number of accounts with what states they fall into. And as you see, when we put the cursor on it, it shows specifically. And here would be we have subject name. This is well, to protect the innocent. We don't. We're not listing the name of the company, but here you would have the actual specific name of the company that's in your customer base, and here we show then they're located and what the exposure is for each of these different companies. And it's a great way to zero in on your collection efforts, seeing, okay, this is a higher risk type of account. Here's a lot of dollars involved. Maybe right now they're not paying you, or maybe they are paying you current, but they're paying a lot of other people not current. So here you can zero in on that. And then next we have the trade lines, where you can take a look and see the how many trade lines we have in the report. You can just click on the company, and what it does is it allows you to pull up a NTCR report on the company. And then if you want to go into a little bit more detail, or you can put this in Excel. And here's an Excel spreadsheet with listing all those different companies and the balances. And you may want to copy and paste and send these maybe to a certain collector to work, as opposed to another collector. Okay. Okay, so there's the portfolio risk analysis. I did just a real quick overview of it. And we'll just go back here and go back to the presentation. Any questions on that so far? Okay. But anyway, one thing to keep in mind, you would need to provide trade. Just a couple other points, and then we're going to finish up for questions. First of all, here we have preferred providers. Basically, these organizations have software that integrates the National Trade Credit Report into their software, where instead of going in to our website, putting your password and ordering the report, where you could just have basically you're in their system, you click on the account and you can pull up the report automatically without then entering passwords and so forth. So it just can streamline the process more effectively. And good reasons for providing trade. You know, you are helping your industry. You're helping the other credit managers make important decisions, reducing fraud. You know, it does give you some leverage that here you are contributing this information. So it is important to make sure your customers know that you are contributing data to other sources, so others can see if they're paying or not. And you know, those people that are paying promptly, it awards them by helping them get extended credit. And that's always important to businesses and when especially if they're going in for a bank loan. And let's see. So you can see there are a whole number of different reasons why that can be a very effective way. And not to mention that you do get discounted pricing on the National Trade Credit Report by providing that data also. Just to let you know, the NACM National Trade Credit Report, typically the cost is between $16 all the way down to $8, depending on what program you go with. Okay, and just to let you know, when you do contribute that information, it is safe. We do not distribute that trade information to anyone else or sell it. Cost of write-offs. This is the reason why you want to check credit. Basically, at a profit of 10%, for example, you have a $10,000 sale. It takes $100,000 in sales to cover that $10,000 loss. Or at 20% profit, it would be $50,000 in sales to cover that loss. So that's really important. And with that said, that concludes our presentation. We do have my contact information. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. And are there any questions at this point?
No questions have come in. The first, well, here we go. Can you provide the range in price on the pay-as-you-go?
Yes. For pay-as-you-go, if you contribute data, it would be $15 per report. If you do not contribute data, it would be $16 per report on a pay-go basis.
Are there any other questions? Portfolio analysis, only if you contribute?
Yes, because that's what actually runs the whole program. We wouldn't be able to identify all your different accounts and then provide the scoring on each of them without that data. But it's a great tool, and the great thing is it's free. If you provide that trade data to us, it's just a added bonus that we want to provide to our members for showing our appreciation that you're providing that data. And so no charge on that. Any other questions?
All right. Well, at this point, it doesn't look like there are any more, so I just want to thank Craig and everyone for participating today. We are recording this, so if you're interested in viewing again or you have other questions for Craig, please feel free to reach out to him. And we'll let you guys get back to your busy day. Thanks again, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.